If you're on social media, you've probably noticed that True Velocity is starting to build a presence, and people are very curious about their ammo. And there's been a couple tests out there showing that people have achieved good groups and hit a few targets, but I need to do it firsthand. And I'm really excited to share with you the results that I find with this first 60 rounds. And now, get the 60 rounds isn't much of a test, but why not document it and share it with you all to show you how it performs, what kind of velocities we get, and follow the break-in of this 308 barrel, which is going to have extensive testing done this year, following the extensive testing that I did with the 6.5 Creedmoor last year and the 6 BRA. So I'm excited to get this 308 spun on. Let's do it and hit the range. Okay, I went and shot these 60 rounds of the True Velocity ammo in that new barrel that I put on. You're gonna see the footage if you haven't seen it already. And I just wanted to talk about the results. I shot all 60 rounds and chronographed them. The first round deviated from the rest of it because there'd been nothing shot through the barrel. So when I did the standard deviation, it was from the final 40 rounds, and I used the first 5 rounds to get a 0. I shot 3 5-round groups, and then I shot a 40-round group and chronographed that separately so that I could have data. In the first 5 rounds, I was able to get it zeroed fine. It was really only about 2 mils left and maybe a 2/10 high, so it wasn't hard to get it zeroed with the new barrel based on the 0 that I had on the barrel before. Anyway, the first shot was the slowest, but after that, it all kind of centered around the same velocity. The average velocity over the 40 rounds that I got was 27.30. Now the other 15 after the initial 5 was 27.25, so it was pretty darn close. The standard deviation I had was 21. So for factory ammunition, that's not unusual, but it's not as good as we would like to see with some other factory ammo, and part of that could be that it's a new barrel. So I would hold off making any big judgments about standard deviation, considering the fact that it's just the first 60 rounds through this barrel period, and after another 100 or so rounds, we might see that change a little bit. The 5-shot groups that I did, they were 1 inch, essentially exactly 1 inch for 3 5-shot groups. And the 40-round group that I chronographed afterwards was 1.5 inches. So it was cool. One thing that was strange that I noticed, and it could just be me, a little quirk, is that when I fire especially with the new barrel and factory ammo, I can usually smell it. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but you fire that round and there's the distinct smell of the primer and the powder, and I didn't get that with this, but I did get a scent, and it smelled a little bit more like fertilizer. And when you smell the cases, you can smell the plastic, the polymer that the cases are made out of, and there's a distinct difference in the way that it smells. But it groups pretty good. 1.5 inches for factory ammo, 1.5 inches for a 40-round group, and 1 inch for 3 5-round groups isn't bad. So The thing to take note of is that I was shooting off of a bag and off of a bipod. I was kind of alternating those positions, and so that I could have my magneto speed on and I wasn't screwing up the cable getting up on a tripod. And there was no muzzle device, so I was able to put together 3 1-inch groups for 5 shots of each of those 3 groups, and with a 40 round group it was 1.5 inches, and there was no muzzle device on there, so there was a little bit of movement. I had to rebuild the position a little bit as it was shooting. I would be comfortable saying it's 1.5 inch ammo. I would be less comfortable saying that anybody could shoot it to 1 inch, but I think that's yet to be seen. If I grab another 100 rounds of this and see where the velocity settles in, and if the ES or the standard deviation comes down, I think that would be good information to know. But anyway, it's really interesting. I think it has a lot of potential. I think that 308 isn't necessarily competitive nowadays, and so comparing it to competition expectations isn't fair. But for what it is, it shoots well. I didn't compare it to other factory ammo. I just grabbed these 60 and took it to the range. I was excited to break in that barrel and break out this ammo. I think it shoots well. I think that 5-shot groups at 1 inch is reasonable, and I think that the standard deviation of 21 is okay. I think as the barrel breaks in, that could improve, but we're gonna have to prove it to see. I think this was about as realistic as you could get and about as fair as you could get, considering that it's a brand new barrel. If you have any questions, like, subscribe, and comment. I'd be happy to answer those, and stay tuned for more.